had going into Iraq work out. So we have a disagreement on that, and there's plenty of time to do some dastardly things. It's very easy to start, and we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. I think we have a lot of good capital. If we have to do something, we'll do it without hesitation. He did a tremendous job on hostage negotiation, really tremendous, like unparalleled. We've had tremendous success in that regard, brought home many people, and through hostage negotiation, I got to know him very well myself, but also a lot of people that I respect rated him as their absolute #1 choice.
On this episode of Just Informed Talk, we're back and we have a big episode as President Trump announces his new national security advisor and the hostage negotiator who is going to attempt to broker the deal with the deep state in their negotiated surrender. You guys are going to want to stick around and talk about that on this episode, plus a whole bunch of other breaking news stories. So hang around and check this out. Hi, and welcome to another episode of Just Informed Talk. I'm your host, Craig, and I always say thank you to everyone who's hit that subscribe button. If you haven't, come here, click the big red subscribe button, make sure you hit the bell for notifications. Here we are. This is where we left off, QPost 3570. We're still waiting. Obviously, it's been quite some time. 8chan has been down, and we're waiting for the board to come back up. As you guys know, I've been traveling. I was at the Trump rally. I've been on the road getting work done. I was in D.C., then I'm in Rio Rancho, New Mexico, and traveling all around. But now I'm back, and we have a lot to cover. So I'm going to try to jump right into it because we have so much to cover on this episode. But look, the algorithmic suppression is obvious. Big tech, the corrupt corporate establishment, and the corrupt political class are all coming together to suppress this information, to shut down our ability to communicate with one another and to even ask questions and exercise our First Amendment right. So in order to combat that, you guys have to share this content. There's a little share button at the bottom of this video. And look, there is an algorithmic suppression that is being initiated by these big tech censors who have these extreme leftist programmers who are making this a dystopian Orwellian nightmare as far as technology goes and the suppression of content and political debate inside this country. So we have to counter that. And if you're scratching your head going, what is QAnon? What's the Great Awakening? What's this guy even referencing? Because we're going to have a lot of Q references today. Please watch this video and share them on your social media. Get the word out that way. Let's start with Facebook. Let's start with one of these big social media companies. So Zuckerberg apparently is in D.C. right now, whining and dining the senators of the U.S. Congress. Now, why does this matter? Well, it matters because what's happening on Facebook is something that is straight out of George Orwell's 1984, this dystopian thought police, thought crime, and the censorship and suppression. It's coming to all the other platforms. It's obvious. I'm seeing, first of all, like my Twitter feed. I was gaining Twitter followers regularly, and then I started, I don't know what I said or did, but all of a sudden it just hit a brick wall. And it's the same thing with YouTube and how they've done it with subscribers and views. There's a suppression that is set into these biased algorithms. And Zuckerberg, it's incredible to see him sitting up there whining and dining the, congressman on Capitol Hill, while at the same time, he is one of the worst authoritarian content censors there ever has been, using his platform in order to sway the entire population to his ideas of what's morally good and his ideas of what's true. To me, these people are trying to become mini fascistic dictators, and all they have to do is bribe enough people in Congress to get it done. Remember what Q told us about LifeLog and DARPA, okay? Logical thinking. It's from March of 2017. Or 2019, excuse me. Did DARPA complete build code taxpayer-funded LifeLog program? After completion, was there fear the public wouldn't accept the adoption if known it was DoD CIA backed? Do you believe people would join a platform knowing it was under the control of the clowns or the federal government? No. How do you lure the masses into entering all their personal info and private messages into their LifeLog onto a new platform? Do you make it cool? How did Facebook supposedly start and launch? Ivy League only? develop a trend and or following? How do you keep project running without public taxpayer funds? DOD reported LifeLog was terminated to Congress Senate oversight. Define black budget. Did Hollywood push? Do people follow the stars? Competitors systematically attacked MySpace to prevent competition. The largest collective social media platform in the world, billions logged, is owned and operated by the Central Intelligence Agency of the United States of America. The more you know. Q goes on, expand your thinking. If covertly operated data accessible to project designators, would they attempt to prevent any type of government regulations from being imposed? Expand your thinking further. Why was Mark Zuckerberg chosen as CEO, public figure tasked to expand and growth? Family tree of Mark Zuckerberg. Who is the wife of Mark Zuckerberg? Family tree of wife. Why won't China allow Facebook? Situational awareness. Do they know it's an individual collection asset program being covertly operated by the CIA? Do they know it's been expanded to tap into the microphone of any device for listening and bulk data collection? Do they know it's been expanded to tap into GPS router of the device for real-time tracking? Do they know it's been expanded to tap into the camera function of the device in order to view, record all target designators? Q. That's what this guy's running. He's sitting here, he's going to Capitol Hill, he's saying, oh yeah, we're not going to do it. It's a suppression machine that's being run by the deep state, which President Trump is continuing to call out over and over again. And everything you just heard there explains exactly the questions that you should be asking about where Facebook came from, where did it originate, and what's it being used for, and why is it turning into like an authoritarian fascist monolith where the thought is only one direction. There is no debate. There's only you either follow the rules of Facebook or you are terminated. You are dehuman. You are de-digitally platformed, never to be seen again. And think of the control and sway that these people exert. This is criminal, what we're going to be, looking at in the future, in my opinion, with all of this and the way they've used it against the American people. But at the same time, you have Eric Snowden here trying to get asylum in France. And they're rejecting it. Why are they rejecting it? Because President Trump has brought them on board. Now, they might not be 100% on board, but we are in the last throes, in my opinion, of the Great Awakening. It is going to happen, and it is going to continue to happen as more and more information comes to light. For instance, do you guys know the reporter who was actually at the tarmac meeting, right, where allegedly Bill Clinton and Loretta Lynch met on his private jet where they discussed golf and grandkids? I'm using air quotes, you can't see that, where it's been alleged that she was offered a position in the Supreme Court if she were to look the other way with regard to the Hillary Clinton investigation and choose not to file charges against her for criminal corruption and basically hiding public record, destroying public records, and so on. So with her emails. This person, Christopher Sign, just tweeted this out. Says, I never told anyone who tipped me off, and I certainly never said it was a member of the ground crew at Sky Harbor. I don't want an innocent person pegged as some sort of collateral damage. Soon you'll know how it all went down, every detail. You think that Chris is following the same thing we are? I think so. And with that, you have to remember that all of it will come out very soon. Apparently, we have at least the FISA abuse IG report coming out at the beginning of October. So that's something that's slated. Now, another major news story, the American Airlines mechanic who was trying to allegedly sabotage a jetliner apparently has terrorist ties, unsurprisingly. Then you get into this story where the leave it to CNN to be the talking mouthpiece for the Iranian regime, saying that the Iranians are threatening an all-out war in case of military strike on Iran. Well, what is this whole conflict coming from? Well, it's all having to do with the supposed drone strike of the Saudi oil complex, where it's being alleged that the Iranians were sent drones and then bombed two of the biggest oil production facilities in Saudi Arabia. There's not much there. I think President Trump, rightfully so, is holding back. It seems fairly obvious that this is a way for them to goad President Trump into another major conflict, which would take attention away from what's happening domestically with this FISA report. So you got to remember There are factions inside the deep state who would want nothing more than to have some global conflict break out so that it would cover up for what we are about to expose. The patriots are now in control, and these people have lost control, and now they'll do anything they can to try to shift the narrative, if you will. Hypothetically, I'm asking that as a question. So you get into the next one. Bolton was just kicked out of the White House. We all know Bolton's deep state connections, and you got to remember, we're playing 5D chess here. Sometimes you got to bring people in you may not agree with, or 100%, in order to get a mission complete. And I think where we have this incredible new change is the national security advisor position with this individual named Robert O'Brien, I believe his name is. And he has come in as this hostage negotiator. Now, why would President Trump need a hostage negotiator? We're going to get into that in a minute. But before we do that, here's this big story that they went out and said, this is the biggest story ever. And this is even, you have Adam Schiff right now he just gave comments on this. And we're going to talk about Adam Schiff. But apparently somebody inside of the intelligence community who was spying on a phone call communication between President Trump and a foreign leader decided that it was their time now to become a whistleblower and to come forward and go to Congress and say, I demand to be recognized because I heard President Trump say bombastically crazy things to a world leader. So whatever it is, the details are very, very sparse, if any. They're just saying that there were statements made to some unknown foreign leader that caused a person to come forward and become a whistleblower and try to basically say that President Trump said things to a foreign leader which are dangerous. And it's insanity, I know, to think that some low-level, supposed whistleblower in some intelligence position who was listening to the phone calls of the president decided that he's just going to come forward and challenge the judgment of the president of the United States, right? Not to mention the fact that President Trump just tweeted this, another fake news story out there. It never ends. Virtually anytime I speak on the phone to a foreign leader, I understand there may be many people listening from various U.S. agencies, not to mention those from the other country itself. No problem. Knowing all of this, is anybody dumb enough to believe that I would say something inappropriate with a foreign leader while on such a potentially heavily populated phone call? I would only do what is right anyway, and only do good for the USA. Now, is there any idiot who would be dumb enough to believe that? Well, yeah, of course there is. There's Representative Adam Schiff. He would be one of those who are dumb enough to believe it, because he's just come out and released this statement after a closed door intelligence community hearing where he met with the intelligence community inspector general. And this is I'm not going to play his lies because it's lies. And it's lie through omission. You can lie through deceptive language. That's what he's doing right here. He comes out and says, the IG said that there are grounds that there was criminal activity that took place, that this whistleblower coming forward has the right to be investigated. But in an unprecedented turn of events, they've decided not to let the whistleblower come publicly testify before Congress. So the deep state has one of their secret Obama holdovers wait in his secret agent mode, like he's doing some great thing for the country, when in reality he's working as a traitor against the country, in my humble opinion. But let's let all the facts come out as they may, of course. So this guy comes forward, listens to the president's private phone calls with a foreign leader, says that it's his prerogative to bring justice against the president for doing this. And who do you have? The deep state's number one cheerleader, Adam Schiff, coming out of the intelligence community closed door meeting saying, yes, there were crimes that the inspector general identified that need to be investigated, but they won't let us talk to him publicly. Well, why do you think the inspector general wouldn't want you to have this whistleblower come publicly testify in front of Congress? Is it perhaps because he recognizes fully that this is all a publicity stunt? This is all an attempt to change the narrative. This is an attempt to smear the president. This is an attempt to undermine his administration by using these deep state plans to just keep popping up saying, I heard President Trump say this on a phone call with a foreign leader, something that if taken out of context, could sound bad, but maybe in context of President Trump and his negotiating tactics may make sense. I mean, let's just ask these questions, right? And if you ask those questions and you try to be objective, then yes, what he's saying here is just there could have been a crime committed. Maybe the inspector general, the crime identified was that this guy who's leaking it did it illegally because there's nothing to whistleblow on. If there's no there and this guy thinks he's a whistleblower coming forward, I mean, we want to have protections for these people, but at the same time, we don't want Joe Deep State to just come out of the woodwork every time President Trump starts going after these swamp creatures, right? That would make sense to me, not to mention the fact that Trump's having to sue the Manhattan DA after they are trying to subpoena his tax returns. So you have the Manhattan DA trying to attack President Trump. He's being attacked on every front right now. And the mainstream media is complicit on it. They're piling on. They're dogpiling. That's why we have to continue to support the president and stand up against this, not to mention the fact that what district does Adam Schiff represent? Speaking of Adam Schiff, the 28th Congressional District. Well, what does that include? Oh, it includes West Hollywood. Now, who is a famous Democrat donor who was just arrested out of West Hollywood as being one of the lead activists / drug den havers and serial drug peddlers? Dem donor Ed Buck is just arrested after a third man has overdosed on methamphetamine in his house. And he's charged with operating a West Hollywood drug house right in Adam Schiff's district. So these are the kind of Democrat donors who put Adam Schiff in his position, presumably. I didn't go look and see if Ed Buck directly donated to Adam Schiff, but I know he's donated to the Democrat Party, and I'm sure a lot of that money has found its way into Adam Schiff's coffers and campaign funds. So think about that. Think about who these people represent and what they represent. And then ask yourself, are they the people we should be trusting? That's my question. Not to mention what President Trump just gave us the other day. I'm trying to catch up on all this because I've been out for a while. House Judiciary has given up on the Mueller reports. And this is from President Trump. I want to read this from President Trump's Twitter. House Judiciary has given up on the Mueller report. Sadly for them, after 2 years and $40 million spent, zero collusion, zero obstruction. So they say, okay, let's look at everything else. All of the deals that Trump has done over his lifetime, right? But it doesn't work that way. I have a better idea. Look at the Obama book deal or the ridiculous Netflix deal. Then look at all the deals made by the Dems in Congress and by the Dems in Congress, the quote unquote congressional slush fund. And lastly, the IG reports. Take a look at them. Those investigations would be over fast. So what he's saying here is that nobody wants to look at the other side. They want to dig into President Trump until they find one instance where he, didn't report a $1,000 tax break or something. That's what they're going for. This is the insanity. A crime that wouldn't even be punishable by jail time. It would be like a fine and saying like, don't do that again. Or you could just refile the paperwork and say, okay, I messed up here, right? These are the kind of crimes that we're trying to get into when we go into President Trump's tax returns, because, if you can't prove certain intent in certain areas, and the crime is just a financial oversight, it's not really the crime of the century here, right? It's not like on the other side of the aisle where you have incredible corruption. And it leads into this story. So why does this lead into this story? The Obama's book deal and the Netflix deal. How did that all come to be? We know about Obama's book deal having been alleged by Q and others that it was some sort of payoff for his complicity, and that the Netflix deal was just another iteration of that. These are allegations that have come out. But let's take a look at something that Q has told us about President Obama, and something that nobody wants to revisit or talk about. And I think it's really important because it ties into how this new negotiator, this hostage negotiator, Robert O'Brien, who President Trump's just brought in as his national security advisor, in my opinion, is one of his negotiating tools with the deep state, because Q has told us about hostages in the past. Now, I want to read this to you, right? President Obama has a library, correct? And it hasn't been built yet, but it is going to be built soon. But there's something very different about his library, and we're going to talk about that in a second. But I want to read this Q post from December of 2017 to you about the Obama library. Quote, documents from the Obama administration have been transferred to the Barack Obama Presidential Library. You may send your request to the Obama Library. However, you should be aware that under the Presidential Records Act, presidential records remain closed to the public for 5 years after an administration has left office. Unquote. Q says, rated by the good guys per POTUS, shockingly quiet, no leaks. Presidential libraries are put in place to retain control over self-incriminated classified document releases. Scam? Review the law. What is different regarding Hussein's presidential library? Who controls? These people are really stupid. Q. Now, New York Times story talks about the Obama presidential library that isn't. Now, this is a story from February of 2019, this year, that talks about how President Trump or President Obama's library is coming together. What's interesting to note in this article, it says, in a break with President, there will be no research library on site and none of Mr. Obama's official presidential records. Instead, the Obama Foundation will pay to digitize the roughly 30 million pages of unclassified paper records from the administration so they can be made available online. Well, that's fascinating. A presidential library without any of the official presidential records physically present in it. Now, could that possibly have something to do with the fact that Q was onto something here? Right? That it was raided and all of the papers were seized by President Trump upon assuming office. I don't know. I'm throwing that out there for you guys, and let's connect this back to Robert O'Brien, Trump's pick. Now, Robert O'Brien he's got an interesting past. Okay, he's done everything from representing Buzz Aldrin as a private attorney to working with Mitt Romney. He's actually a Mormon. I've kind of read about his background, but there's nothing that stands out to me other than the fact that President Trump is talking about everything. Like when we saw that clip at the beginning of this and you saw what President Trump was saying about this guy and how he was the hostage negotiator, remember what Q told us, right? Back in November of 2017, saying, note, military intelligence has the same special access programs as NSA, CIA, etc., as designated post 9/11. Why is this relevant? Who can be held hostage and controlled? Now remember that. Who can be held hostage and controlled? Why would President Trump fire John Bolton to bring in a hostage negotiator? Because he's negotiating with the deep state, because we have everything on them and we're going to expose it. And what they're doing right now is they're holding, hypothetically, theoretically, the whole world hostage because of this very next statement. Clowns, you know who they are, think its foreign offshore assets are strong enough to defend against the U.S. executive, but they're not accounting for military use on domestic soil. They never expected that Q, President Trump, military intelligence, this operation was going to be enacted. So now they're desperate. They're throwing everything they have against us, and you know what? They're not going to win because it goes on. Why does the Constitution explicitly grant this authority to the president, and what is it to prevent? It's to prevent an insurrection. That's why they call it the Insurrection Act. That's why President Trump is calling it a coup. It is a coup. It is treason. It is sedition. These people are engaged in treason and sedition against our country, and nobody seems to want to acknowledge that except for anybody who seems to look at this in a relatively objective manner, in my opinion. Now, I can't tell you I'm 100% right. It's really, I'm asking that as a question. Why isn't nobody asking that question? Why is nobody looking at it in that way? It says they knew our agencies would grow in power so much so they can hold the executive hostage or engage with bad actors. Trump nominated someone new to direct every agency but one. He controls the top. Well, who is that one person he wasn't able to replace who controlled the top? I believe it was Dan Coates. And we got rid of him. And now the deep state's panicking. So that's where I'm going to go ahead and leave it. Obviously, I want to say thank you guys for watching. A few more things before we go. Obviously, come here, click the big red subscribe button if you haven't. Make sure you hit the bell for notifications, watch these videos, share them on your social media, get the word out that way, and leave your thoughts, theories, and insights below. I want to hear what you guys have to think about all of this stuff. And also, thank you guys for sticking around because I know I've been off the last few days traveling and on the road. It's just really hard to continually produce good content when you're on the road and the equipment's different and it's just a whole thing. So I'm telling you right now, there's a lot more to come. We're going to keep doing these posts. If you guys like these posts, hit the like button. If you want to see more and leave your, like I said, I want to hear what you guys have to think. So go down below and leave your thoughts, theories, and insights. A few other ways you can help. Be brave. Download the Brave browser today. It is an amazing product. You guys will love it. It's an internet browser just like Google Chrome or Internet Explorer. What does it do differently? It blocks the advertisements. So I know sometimes I'll click an internet article and I can't even read the article itself because there's so many ads that come up. I got rid of all that by getting the Brave browser. Use the link below and you download it for free and install it and then run it. And then you support Just Informed Talk just by using the link in the description. So go do that. I encourage you all to check that out. Also, don't forget to check out JUSTINFORMEDNEWS.com, the official website for Just Informed Talk. Links to the Q stuff, different news sites, breaking news, and of course, the latest videos from the channel here. And it's JUSTINFORMEDNEWS.com. Also, come find me over here on Twitter at JustInformedYou is the Twitter handle. That's Just Informed Talk's official Twitter page. You can come over here and have a conversation with me outside the channel. It's a great way to connect, and hopefully we can keep getting more followers instead of being in this downward cycle. I'm not sure how that works, but if you guys come hit that follow button and it keeps going down, then maybe we'll be able to see something obvious, more obvious than it already is. But I appreciate you following me over here, and I'll see you over there and we can have a conversation. Also, I have Patreon. Patreon.com. It's a crowdfunding website. It's a monthly donation. You come here, there'll be a link in the description. You click this button, become a patron. It's a monthly donation. You set it and forget it and know you're helping create content here on this channel regularly. You guys are what keep this channel alive, and I'm so thankful for your help and support. So without your support, this channel wouldn't exist. So thank you so much to every single one of you for that support. Also, I have a GoFundMe set up. If you want to make a one-time or anonymous donation, links to both of those will be in the description now. And we also do a segment at the end of each one of these episodes called God's Grace is Greater, where we talk about God's grace and how it is truly greater. Today, we're going to take a piece of scripture and talk about it, talking about difficult times ahead. And this is out of the book of 2 Timothy chapter 3, verse 1 through 7. I want to share these words and we'll talk about it. It says, "But know this, difficult times will come in the last days, for people will be lovers of self, lovers of money, boastful, proud, blasphemers, disobedient to parents, ungrateful, unholy, unloving, irreconcilable, slanderers, without self-control, brutal, without love for what is good, traitors, reckless, conceited, lovers of pleasure rather than lovers of God, holding to the form of religion, but denying its power. Avoid these people, for among them are those who worm their way into households and capture idle women burdened down with sins, led along by a variety of passions, always learning and never able to come to a knowledge of the truth." So what this is saying, in my opinion, is pretty simple. These are the things we have to avoid, but these are the things that are promoted by the society in which we live. We have to be children of God and remember to avoid these people. Those who engage in these behaviors and actions are those who we have to try to distance ourselves from. And if we are guilty of these things ourselves, we have to look to God and we have to ask God for forgiveness and ask God to give us a path forward. We're imperfect. We're going to have mistakes along the way. None of us are by any means going to be successful without stumbling along the way. But that doesn't mean that you have to give up. That means that you have to recognize that these things are what are holding you back, right? They're holding us all back, and we have to relinquish ourselves to God and let God help us find a way forward. And how do you do that? It's simple. Just say a prayer. Open your heart up to God. Look, we're all going to stumble on this path that God has laid for us, but that stumble may be a part of your journey to finding your true path. So embrace adversity by looking to God and asking God for direction. And when we come into difficult times like that which are described here, remind yourself to avoid those people and remind yourselves that those who do this will never be able to come to the true knowledge, which is the truth of God. So that's pretty much where I'm going to leave it. I want to thank you guys for watching, and I really appreciate it. Also, come here, click the big red subscribe button if you haven't. Also, hit it, punch it, tap it, bop it, twist it, pop it, whatever. Hit the like button if you guys like this content. and want to see me make more, that's going to be it for me. Thanks for watching Just Informed Talk. My name is Craig. Godspeed and God bless each and every one of you, Patriots.